Okay, Derbyites, here we are. Another week of Survivor, another you are loss, another vote out from the Green Tribe. Shan's done it again in terms of surviving the vote and managing what happens. They went with Jeannie. I'm at Noble Gold Derby here with Marcus, James Dixon, and Kevin Jacobson. Marcus, Jeannie's gone. Was that the right move for Shan?
Yeah, that was the right move. And by the way, I've had a green buff for several years now, but in honor of Ua losing again, I am throwing it away. It's garbage now. So goodbye, green buff. But yes, Shan definitely made the right move because her and Ricard are very close. I know they got in a fight this week. It was kind of like watching your parents fight a little bit. But I think we all knew in the end it was probably going to work out this way.
What do you think, Kevin?
I think it's kind of complicated, honestly, because like if Shan is able to convince Ricard to give her the extra vote back, honestly, I would be tempted to vote out Ricard in her position. I mean, I know that they work well together, the whole thing of like him coming up with the plan and her executing it, and they have like this good duo team thing happening. But I sort of feel like looking down the line, Ricard is going to be someone who I would definitely watch out for, even if I'm in an alliance with him. And Jeannie, I would not feel that threatened by, all due respect. She's a very loyal person. So, you know, I think it's a little more complicated. I do think that she did make the right move in the end for the two of them, but I don't know. I think it was a tough call for all three. It depends on like sort of like which vantage point you're looking from.
I thought it was very weird. So she found the Beware Advantage idol, which means she lost her vote until that idol is triggered. And that would mean she couldn't use JD's extra vote that she took off him last week. However, I'm surprised she gave Ricard the extra vote. You would think that is something that could be more easily done or should have been done after they lost the immunity challenge.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why she gave it to him before the immunity challenge. Because if they don't lose, well, when they go to the immunity challenge, that's when they find out whether she's actually lost her vote, like whether the idol's triggered or not. So she might not need to give it to Ricard in that case. And then they might not lose the challenge. And then she doesn't need to give him the vote then either. They could, you know, like, because if they're not going to tribal, it doesn't matter that she's lost her vote. They might have the merge next week, and then the whole Beware Advantage idol and losing your vote negates anyway. So I sort of feel like, I don't know why she gave it before that, because it gave Ricard more leverage after they lost the challenge. And I think the real problem for her with keeping Ricard is, I know he said he'd give it back to her the next day, but like, he doesn't really have much incentive to if they lose the next challenge and it's just her and him.
Yeah.
Like, however, she does have an idol that is activated, so he can't really vote her out anyway. So she's probably good regardless. I think it was could have gone either way. I think the good news is, as long as they can get over this fight that they had about the extra vote and him either giving it back to her or her not, like, as long as they are in a good spot, the thing I sort of said last week is they've sort of killed all the witnesses from what's happened on that beach. So they can just go as a strong two, and no one knows exactly what happens, who Shan lied to, which of the two of them's running the show. Like, they can just be two people that come along and go, oh boy, we've had such a bad run. It's sort of good we've got through it all. And people might be more likely to trust them. Any thoughts on any of that?
I think Ricard actually did bring up a good point, though, I think it was this tribal council where they've had to play so much Survivor at this point, the two of them. Luvu hasn't even gone to a single tribal council yet. That's like half the cast. And So I do think it's a fair point that like these two people are very high caliber players at this point for having to survive all of that. So I mean, it's the same thing we've been talking about with Malcolm and Denise. Like they both made it all the way to the end of Philippines, probably because they had to play a lot of Survivor early on, and you know, the other tribe didn't. So
And
I
what
think
is
it's a fair point?
what's with the Ua tribe and their just gung-ho attitude about giving each other their advantages before the votes? This is now the third time we've seen them do this. And this is very unusual. Usually you don't see someone on Survivor giving your advantage to someone else to prove yourself or whatever. And now it's 3 weeks in a row. And Shan has been involved in all three of them.
Yeah, she's gotten 3 weeks in a row. Someone's given her an extra vote. I did the I thought if like Ricard got voted out this week, it would have been like a boy, there's no winning with Shan. Like JD gives her your vote, like gives her a vote, she gets rid of him. Ricard won't give him a vote, she gets rid of him. So I think like maybe the move for JD was not to give her the vote, because it seemed like that worked out for Ricard. Although it was probably more on their relationship, the fact that they've been the close to. So yeah, so that's pretty much, so Jeannie's gone. Jeannie's out of the game. Shan and Ricard have done it. They've sort of outmaneuvered the whole rest of that Ewa tribe. And I do sort of agree with Kevin. They could be in for a long run in the game.
I hope so. We've seen so much of them that I'm rooting for both of them. You know, compare them to the Luvu people. We've hardly seen them at all because they haven't lost at all. And, you know, is there anyone in that on that tribe you would like to see win at this point? Because we just don't really know them very well. I guess I like Deshaun.
Nasir.
I'm still iffy on Nasir. He had a good episode this time though.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Deshaun, but yeah, I think you're sort of right. Like the Luvu tribe, we haven't seen them as much, and maybe that means we haven't had an opportunity to connect with them as much. But I don't think we've got as interesting a play as sort of what's going on Ewa with Shan, the mafia pastor, and her right-hand man, Ricard, and Yasser. You've got like Evie, who I think is playing a really fun and exciting game. So maybe Luvu will impress us moving forward and someone will rise up. They will be, well, at the moment, they've got 50% of all the people that are left in the game. So if there was a merge next episode, which I think the trailer suggests there is not quite a merge next episode, if there's a merge next episode, they would have a sort of at least a block of 50% of the votes, although not quite, because we've got all these extra votes floating around and things. So they don't necessarily, they have half the people, but maybe not half the votes in the game.
There are so many advantages that I forget who has what, and some people have multiples at this point.
Yeah, Kevin, do you know who has extra votes at the moment? We know Shan's, Ricard's got one extra vote and Xander's got an extra vote.
Yes. I'm trying to think if there's
an extra vote?
Others. I have to look at the whole. Honestly, you need like a flow chart to even keep track at this point.
Brad had a steal a vote, but it got, removed from the game when he was removed from the game.
Yeah, how did Shan not get that from Brad? Like, well, before he got voted out, what was she doing?
And Liana got something this week. Liana got a brand new advantage where. So it's kind of complicated. All these are so complicated. She has to ask somebody if they have an idol or an advantage. If they say no, she loses the advantage. If they say yes, she then gets their idol or advantage, whatever one she asked about. So this could be a very powerful item for her, especially because she knows Xander has something. She knows that he probably has this idol, this three-way idol, which was finally activated. And I don't know if she knows he has the steal a vote or not. I don't remember.
Yeah, I looked back and she did physically see that in
his that's bag. Right.
So yeah, she knows like with 100% certainty that he has two advantages, which, I mean, I don't know how I feel about how much power that gives her. It seems like a lot for not having to do that much ultimately. But I guess we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think like that is, I think in some seasons that advantage could play out quite interestingly. We got to try to figure out who has the idol, who has the advantage. In this season, like this sort of advantage when there are so many other advantages, like just the chance of, and some of them are relying on other people saying phrases and code words. So like that means like I feel like it's too easy to know who has advantages in this season compared to other seasons, and therefore it makes this advantage less interesting.
Also, because everyone always is saying to each other what they have and giving them each other's things. So like, you know, there's like no secrecy on this season anyway.
Yeah. So like even like people are going to islands and telling each other if they're going to be risking or rewarding and all these sorts of things. So I think it's probably not the best season for an advantage like this, because it is, I think, I think it's overpowered, as you say, Kevin, but like probably even more overpowered than it would be in other seasons. Yeah, so it's interesting. So Liana went to the sort of Shipwheel Island with Shan, and Shan again just did a fantastic job of building that relationship with Liana, giving herself other options in the game moving forward, other connections, and great as Shan, again, can't say enough good things about Shan. Her going, hey, if I'm not here at the merge, don't trust Ricard.
I love that.
Like, yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
It's really good. Liana, she said, hey, Liana, you can take the advantage because I need my vote tonight. I can't afford to risk it, sort of thing. We're a tribe of three. So, and that builds her a good trusting relationship with Liana. Liana then gets the advantage. And so how do you think she might use this? Because she knows Xander's got stuff. So she can ask him like his idol and just take it off him whenever she wants. But since she knows all the conditions, she like went through Xander's bag, she's read the rules, we assume she knows about the phrases. She also knows that two other idols are in play, and probably has a good idea of who has them. So she can hang on to that until the merge. Because I feel like she's against Xander at the moment, but once a merge comes, do all Yasa sort of band together and sort of try to get the numbers going, and it could be used to sort of take out Nasir's idol as well.
That's such a great point. I hadn't thought of that. Like I was just automatically thinking that she would take Xander's, but you're right. She could use it next week, which I'm guessing there's going to be a tribe swap next week and not necessarily the merge like you were mentioning. So if she gets on Nasir's tribe, let's say there is a swap, then she totally knows he has an idol because he said the AstroTurf thing. If she gets on Shan's tribe, she probably won't steal anything of Shan's because they're best friends now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it's probably, I think Nasir's idol would be in more danger. I think the good news for Liana is like she can wait till after an immunity challenge to play that advantage so she can see if they're going to try. I think I wouldn't be taking Xander's thing off him straight away. I'd be waiting to see if she needs it because she always has that option. So I think that's probably good. She could probably only take the idol or the extra vote as well, I would guess. And obviously the idol would be a better thing to take because it saves you any week, extra vote. Like it's more circumstantial and that's going to be helpful for you. We talked a bit about this. Like, so the idols have been triggered. The Beware advantage is active. So Shan and Ricard get it. They then, but Jeannie found it and she said, "Oh, should we take it? Should we not take it? I don't know." They go, "Let's just leave it here in case we need it." Then Ricard's like, "Hey, let's put your brace. I'll put my bracelet in it and we'll take it, and then we can screw Jeannie later." Doesn't really matter now. Jeannie's gone anyway, so like, so they got it, and so the Green Tribe had it again, and then Luvu, we didn't know if they had it, and then Nasir says the phrase. Marcus, what do you think of that?
That probably was my favorite moment of this season so far, because they were very smart, the editors of the show, to not tell us whether he had it or not. And Ricard and Shan had this almost like this patter at the challenge where they were like, and you were saying what? And Xander, you said something crazy too. Like they were filling it in, like helping Xander along the way. And then I'm like, well, what about the Blue Tribe? And then they cut to Nasir and he says it. And then we get a flashback of when he found it. It was just brilliant editing. I hope the editors get recognized at the Emmy Awards because it was such a good moment.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
I love that they're taking these risks and really just framing it just like for the best dramatic impact for the audience, because yeah, I love that it was framed this way. I think this would have been this was so much better than if it was just like we already knew that Nasir found it and we're just sort of waiting for it to happen. Like that, just the impact of that was really fun. And again, I've been a Nasir fan the whole time, so I just was so happy for him, and I just love his enthusiasm for the game. And I also just loved him like talking about before the game and his daughters like hiding idols in the background for him or in the backyard to help him out in the game. And so yeah, I'm just really happy that it's in his hands. I'll just say that.
I love what he mentioned about whether to throw the challenge or not. And he's such a Survivor fan. He's like, you never throw the challenge. Like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, I don't want to lose the flint. And I'm like, oh yeah, you lose your flint if you lose the challenge. I totally forgot.
It's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, great move. Loved the way, I totally agree. The way they edited that together is great. I think Survivor's always had such a great appreciation for telling a good story. And like even having sort of sometimes the narrative beats play out like a great drama series. And I think they've really this season thinking of different creative ways to tell the story and how can they best sort of tell that narrative, and maybe sometimes doing something that isn't quite linear, you get a more interesting sort of play out. I'd love to see the series get some Emmy love this year. I think it's sort of so perplexing that it never gets in that best Emmy competition reality program, since they do place such a high premium on storytelling and production values and things like that. You think that'd be in the Emmys wheelhouse, but I guess it's just too old or something, or they're into different types of shows. So it probably won't get any Emmy nominations, but
it deserves them.
Yeah. And it does sometimes get those, like you said, Marcus, like picture editing and stuff. Like it does sometimes pick up little nominations,
which has also been really good this year too. The cinematography. So
yeah, I'd agree with that.
All the little slowed down moments, like the one with Ricard at the challenge, even though he failed to even hit the target. Fun little fake out.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Any other things from the episode we need to break down?
Good question. We could talk about the predictions at Gold Derby.
Oh, please, Max.
So winner predictions, people think Shan, Evie, and Ricard. They've been the strong three for most of the season. Deshawn is in fourth. And then Liana is in fifth. In terms of who will go home, let me pull that up.
Who's to say with this? If it's like a tribe swap, it could be anyone.
Right. People still think Erica, and she went up to number one last week when the tribe was talking about throwing it just to get rid of her, and it looks like she's still people's pick. I'm thinking Heather. I'm thinking if there's a tribe swap, she could get the boot because she's not the strongest in challenges. So she's going to be my prediction.
I wonder if it could be like Sydney next episode. Just if things get shuffled up, we have seen quite a bit of the Sydney story the past couple of weeks. Maybe they're ramping up for Sydney getting screwed. But yeah, I think as you guys say, with the tribe swap or some twist happening next week, which might shuffle people up a bit or something, whatever they're doing means it's really everyone's in danger. It's harder to predict that. I think the winner, who do you say was fourth on the winners pick?
Deshawn.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think if someone from the Blue Tribe is looking in a good position, it's him. Who are your guys' winners pick? Who do you think is going to win, Kevin?
I mean, I've been on Shan since the beginning. At this point, as someone who really tries to like follow the edit and what the story being told is happening, I'm a little bit like not sure at this point because she has been given so much focus. Like it is absolutely the Shan show at this point. That I almost wonder if it's like a fake out and that she sort of comes up a little short in the end. So at this point, like I am sort of maybe going back to an Evie possibility or a Deshawn or even a Liana. I could definitely see that at this point. Someone who is present but is not too active at the moment, but once the merge hits, will probably hit their stride. I could see someone like Liana or Deshawn, fitting that mold.
Yeah, like I think you're right about the Shan show. At the same time, like I'm still picking Shan, and I sort of think and I do think her overplaying or being too big of a threat could be her biggest liability moving forward. But I think she's helped by the fact so few people who she screwed over, well, no one that she screwed over is still in the game, to tell everyone how big a threat she is. And I think also just it's hard not to have made it the Shan show since her tribe's gone to tribal council 3 weeks in a row and she's one of the only 2 people left. So I think maybe that's sort of maybe why we've seen so much of her. What do you think, Marcus? Who's winning?
I agree. I was thinking earlier, like if let's say the game was totally different and Ua had not been to tribal yet, we wouldn't know how great of a player Shan is and Ricard is. They would just kind of be background people at this point. But she is my personal favorite. I am picking Ricard to win just to be a little different.
Yeah.
But I could see them both making it pretty far.
Yeah, I agree. And I think maybe don't sleep on Liana. I think she's really, this episode was a good one for her. And you could see a story starting to develop for her this season as well. So she'd sort of be my, if you're looking for a bit more of a outside, although as you said, Marcus, she's risen to 5th in the prediction center this week. So people are noticing her.
And is Vesepia the only Black woman to ever win Survivor? And that was back in season 4, Vesepia Towery.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not as I don't know how you categorize like all the racial sort of groups and things like that, but Natalie Anderson was also a winner, but she's from sort of more that Southeast Asian, if I've got the right geography right. Apologies if I've made a mistake there. Yeah, so no, it would be great to see Liana or Shan take out this season. Okay, there we go. Prediction Center, guys. So get to the Gold Derby Prediction Center and make your predictions on who could win, who's getting voted out next week. Will Shot in the Darks be played? All the important questions are in the Gold Derby Prediction Center, and go to goldderby.com where you can predict other award show ceremonies and get in the mix on the discussion, our forums and great blog articles. And we're starting to gear up for Oscar season, which is exciting too. Goldderby.com, leading website for awards coverage and Survivor discussion and predictions.